Okay, so today we're going to make some pretty peyote stitch cuffs. This is going to be a beginner video for those of you who don't know how to make peyote stitch. This is going to cover two different kinds of peyote stitch. So this is the spiral, kind of looks like this. You can use whatever colors you want. But this video is going to actually finish making a chevron, which looks like this. Has that like triangle shape to it. Cool. So you're gonna need 4 or 8 different colors. I have been requested to do a blue and yellow chevron cuff, so I've got 4 different blues, 3 different yellows, and a gold, kind of just to make it pretty. I recommend lining up your colors in the color you want them to appear on your chevron. It's going to make it a lot easier. It's going to make it a lot less confusing. You can certainly do it with them in a mixed bundle, but I find this the easiest way to stay organized. So you're going to start with your first color. You're going to put 2 of each on your string. 1, 2. My string is still attached to the spool. 1, 2. You're gonna need a needle, so make sure you have your needle. You can definitely do a peyote stitch without a needle, but it's a lot easier to tie off if you have a needle and just a lot easier to do in general. I hope you guys can see. 1, 2. And you're going to keep going. So like I said, you can do 4. If you do 4 different colors, you're going to do this 1, 2. Do all 4 colors in sets of 2 4 times. If you're going to do 8 colors like what I'm doing here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I'm going to do all of them twice until you have 32 beads on your string. 2. You could also do this with 2 colors, but I like to make them kind of like pretty and have lots and lots of colors on there. We're going to do a size 32 today. If you want to do a smaller one or a bigger one, I recommend starting with the 32 and following along with me. Just because it's a pretty good size. It's a little bit big on me. It might be a little big on you. It might be a little small on you. But if it doesn't fit, just give it away because that's what Kandi is for. And then we can talk a little bit as we go forward about the kind of the numbers of each color you're going to use if you do a bigger or a smaller cuff. I actually wrote down a really long list of what to do if you have different sizes, and I was going to show it to you guys, and then it was just like a lot of math and it was really confusing. So in this case, you're always going to want an even number of beads on your string when you start out. Like this is 32 beads, and I'm going to recommend you follow along and do a size 32 with me. Cool. So you're going to tie it off. Kind of tight, not crazy tight, but kind of tight. Give it a couple of knots. This is in the way. There we go. Give it a couple of knots. And using your scissors, you're going to cut off the short end of the string. Cool. And I'm going to measure this. I am 5'3". I'm going to measure in wingspans. If you're taller, your wingspan will be longer. If you are shorter, your wingspan will be smaller. I'm going to do about 1. I might have a little extra string here. I'm going to do about 1.5 wingspans. So from the center of my chest to my arm extended all the way would be a half. So I should have a good amount of string here. Cut it off. And I'm going to attach my needle. So my needle looks like this. I got them on Amazon. I got 50 of them. So I'm going to show you how to attach a needle to this string through the eye of the needle. And whenever I tie my needle to the string, I don't actually tie the string to the needle. I tie it around like that. I hope you guys can see, and then pull back. I feel like that makes a lot of a smaller knot for the beads to pass through than if I tied it directly to the needle, which I did for a long time. And I found that this is actually a ton easier and makes your beading way faster and doesn't come undone, etc., etc. Cool. And now we're going to start with our peyote cuff. Pro tip, if you have clear beads like I do here on one side of your knot, go the other way. If you don't, it doesn't matter which way you go, but if you have clear beads on one side of your knot, I'm going to recommend you go the other way. Awesome. And we're just going to go under one bead like that. Hope you can see. And pull all the way through. Cool. Now we're going to take the color we're facing. So if we're going toward this way, we're going to use this color, this nice yellow, and add it and go under here. So I'm going to put this on my string. I'm going to go under this first yellow bead so that the yellow bead I just added is kind of sitting on top of the blue bead, and you'll see what I mean. Like that. Cool, huh? And you're going to go around and you're going to keep doing that. So whichever color I'm going, so I'm going to go skip one and go into one. And whichever one I'm going into is the color I'm going to add. So grab one of these, skip one, go into the first of that color we just put on the needle. Voila, and pull nice and tight. Now, it is very, very, very important, I probably should have said this sooner, that you pinch the entire time you're doing these first, like, 2 or 3 rows of this peyote. Otherwise, what's going to happen is these are going to start to flip upside down. Okay, like I said, you're going to want to pull really tight here the entire time you are doing this stitch, at least for the first couple rows. Cool. And we're going to add one more of the color we're going into. You're going to go over one, into one. So the whole stitch is add one, over one, into one. Full stitch, add one, into one, over one. And as you pinch, you'll start to see you get these nice diagonal lines. Add the color we're going into. Add the color we're going into. And keep pinching as you go forward. And as you keep pinching and you go around, you'll see your diagonal lines kind of start to flatten like this. That's okay. We'll go ahead and straighten them up. Just keep pinching for the first 2 or 3 rows until you have a good shape. Keep doing the same thing. Color you're going into is the color you're putting on the needle, so you add 1 over 1 into 1. It's normal for string to get tangled and kind of knotted. That's the nice thing about having a needle, is you can just easily detangle stuff. I remember before I had bought needles, what it was like to try and detangle stuff with these giant fingernails, and it was not easy. And as we start to get to the other side, make sure you're still pinching. I'll pause here and show you what to do next. See how it's kind of flat on this side and then it kind of sticks up? Go ahead and stick it up and pull. And you'll see where your next bead goes. So I'm going to use that bead that we're going to go into, just like we've been doing. And I'm going to go into this bead, and then I'm going to go up and through this next bead here. This is going to be your entire pattern. As you pull, and as you kind of let go, I don't recommend letting go all the way, but you can kind of keep it pulled and twisted around your hand. You should see you have these nice lines with 3 beads in them, these nice diagonal lines kind of lining up next to each other. Cool, and pinch. And then we're going to do just the same thing we've been doing. So for this next one, I'm going to go into this color that I have here. Just like I've been doing, the color I'm going into is the color I'm putting on my needle. And pull. And the color I'm going into is the color I'm putting on my needle. And go. And you can see I can kind of start to stop pinching. They'll start to like to take its shape. Color I'm going into is the color that goes on my needle. And this whole just like 1 bead in between each bead is the peyote stitch. You're going to do this all the way around. And I'll do one, let's finish up this row with you guys, and then we'll meet back when we have diagonal line of 7. So it'll take us a while, and I'll skip through that. But I'll do this last one with you, and then meet back up when we have diagonal lines of 7. So this one, And you can already tell it's like keeping its shape on this side and still kind of wobbly on the other side. That's okay, the other side will pick up. Add one, over one, into one is the peyote stitch. And so this is for a peyote tube. And it looks very nice in its spiral or chevron pattern. Ooh, throwing things. Got it. Adding the color we're going into. And yeah, it gets kind of awkward right here. See what I'm doing? Don't worry, it'll even out. And it'll start to stand up a little better as you add more rows. But again, as we meet our two ends here, we're going to use this color that we're going to go into. This yellow is what's going on my string. See how it's kind of like sinking down right here? It'll correct itself as you add more rows. So don't worry about that. And I'm going to go up through these two. Cool. And go ahead and meet me where we have, see how we have 2 and 2 and 2 and 2, and then we have a diagonal line of 4. Go ahead and meet me when our diagonal lines are at 7, okay? All right. And now that we have 7 diagonal here, I hope you can see that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is where your spiral cuff is going to differ from your chevron cuff. Now, if you want to make a spiral cuff, just keep going in the pattern that we've been doing. You can make it as tall as you want. I usually make mine about 13 diagonal beads high. But if this case, we're going to build a chevron cuff, which is a little bit different. So once again, you should have 7 beads going diagonal. That's 3 the short way and 4 the long way. If you've gone too long, by the way, I want you to make sure you have an odd number of beads in this diagonal line. So if you find yourself with 8, if you got carried away, or 6 and you just want to get going, make sure you do that extra row so that you have a diagonal number of beads in an odd number of beads in your diagonal line. There we go. Cool. And the next thing we're going to do with this chevron cuff is, so instead of the way we've been doing it where we would have put a blue bead next here, we're going to do another yellow bead. And we're going to go in to the next blue bead. And I'll show you what that looks like. Like that. And then we're going to grab our blue bead. So now, instead of whatever color we're going into, we're adding, it's whatever color we're coming out of. Like that. And as the pattern has been going, add one, over one, into one. And you're just going to continue like this. It's going to make a nice chevron pattern until you end up with an even looking cuff, so a symmetrical cuff, and you'll see what I mean when we get there. I'm going to do 1 or 2 rows with you again just so you get the point, and then we'll cut to the end because this is very repetitive stitch. So I'm going to take one of these darker yellows and put it through the blue like that. Darker yellow. Out of the yellow, out of yellow. Go all the way around. Now, if you wanted to, all right, I'll just do this verbally and then maybe I'll add a picture or something that kind of goes over the math. But if you want to do a different number besides 32, like a different sized cuff, essentially what you're gonna do is it's always got to be an even number. And then you can take that number. So if I take 32, for example, it'll be, you'll take whatever number you're doing. So if I'm doing 32, it'll be 16. If I'm doing 30, it'll be 15. And you're gonna take whatever number beads you've got on your, whatever even number beads you've got on your bracelet, divide it by 2, and then any multiples of that are what your pattern can look like. You can also do, like, say I wanted to do a 34, right? Say if I did a 34 and it fit me perfectly, but 34 divided by 2 is 17, and nothing is divisible by 17. Well, in that case, what I'd probably do is a unique stripe, just so that I know it would fit me right. Oops, almost did that wrong. And yeah, the possibilities are endless. Like I said, maybe I'll put in the comments or something, or in the description, how the math would work out if you wanted to do a different size cuff. But 32 is pretty comfortable on, you know, medium and slightly large and like smaller arms. And I really like the pattern where it has the 8 stripes, or you can do it with 4. Like this one's got 4 colors and it looks really cool. But you can do this in different sizes. It just has to be a even number. Hope that made sense. And when we come to the point where we are joining our next row, you're going to add, I guess, the color you're coming out of and go up through these 2 yellow beads just like we've been doing. And it should fit in there nice and snug. Yay! And you're just going to keep going in that fashion, and you'll see the V start to come together and it looks really nice. So I'm going to add the color I'm going out of, go over 1, into 1, and I'll just do this next row with you, and then we'll meet up at the end. Add the one I'm coming out of into the next. And the color I'm coming out of into the next. Add the color I'm coming out of into the next. No. All right, you guys are gonna go until they're even. So until this color and this color line up, it should be a perfect V. If you see what I mean, like this color and this color, it should line up like this, like a perfect triangle. And if you don't get there or you're having trouble, please let me know in the comments and I'll see if I can clarify anything. Other than that, I'll meet you when we get there. All right, and I'm just wrapping up my last row here. You can tell it's the last row because as I put the color we're coming out of onto the string and go into the next, it lines up like this. I hope you guys can see. It lines up like this. Until you get to the last bead of your cuff. Yay! We're gonna add the color we're coming out of, go through the next two, and I'll show you guys how to tie it, and then I have one extra bonus step, which has to do with this one that kind of sticks out, right? I don't know if you guys have this on yours. I certainly don't have it on all of mine, but it came up on this one. So I'm gonna show you guys what to do with it. I hope you can see it kind of like sticks because of the way it was tied at the beginning. So first I'm gonna go, to tie this one on, I'm gonna go under the one, through that little loop, and pull really fast. Now if you pull too slow, sometimes you end up with the loop tying too soon. And I would tie it at least a couple times under like that. I use my finger a lot of the time to catch the loop, up into the loop until we're kind of small, and then yank it. Cool, now I need to make my way down here. So I have a lot of extra string. You're gonna want this extra string for this function. So instead of like, you might think to go just like diagonally down this way and across. What that does is it creates a lot of tension right here. So I'm gonna do it in chunks and do kind of an up and across zigzag. I hope that makes sense, but I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna go up through maybe 4 beads. And you can do this. This part is not scientific. And down through like 2. I don't do this the same every time. And then maybe up through another 3 or 4. I'll do 4. The point is you just want to make sure you're giving a little bit of give. Down 2. I'll go down 3. Give to your cool. And now that we're kind of across and not so jammed up, you know, I think I went through too many. Let me go back a couple just so I can end up up these 3, up these 3, 4, and then now I'm going to go into this blue line and go all the way across. See how we just kind of added a little bit of up and downs and zigzags to our stitch? That's just going to make our cuff less likely to snap when we put it on. Cool, so now that I'm coming out of the one next to my sticky uppy bead, I'm just going to go in and around a couple times across the top, and that'll make it nice and snug in there. See that? Nice and easy. I'm going to go down one more. I like my knot to be kind of on the lower side, and just tie it off. Just like we did before. Needle under the string, catch your loop, into the loop, and yank. If you guys can see this okay. Cool. And I tied it twice. I'm just going to give it one more tie, just for good measure. Whoop. And if you find yourself going around the next bead over, please, please, please fix it. For me, that would mean, for you, it might mean a creative twist on the project, but for me, that means I would do my project over if I tied it like that on accident. Cool. And we're done. Look at our, got your string. Look at our pretty chevron cuff. I hope you guys turned out like mine did. I'm about to list these on my Etsy store at Sour Candy Castle. Please check me out there. Also check me out on Instagram at Sour Candy Castle, spelled just like the YouTube handle. If you guys have any questions on this process, please let me know in the comments, and thank you guys for watching.